Any further discussion? There being no further discussion of the bill, the committee will move for consideration of amendments. Does any member wish to offer an amendment?
Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk shall distribute the amendment.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
I'll just use this as an opportunity to make the point again for members. We're working to make a more paperless process. So members have, I believe, up until 48 hours within the markup to get these amendments submitted. If not, you have to bring your own 70 copies of the amendment to distribute. This is an effort to make it painful so that you all choose to use the digital program instead of printing out 70 copies for all the members. But for today,
We did use the digital program. I just didn't know the number.
not in the right window of time. But today we're working with everybody. Again, we're just trying to make the point so people are in the process of it. And we use less paper in here. So we appreciate it. In that, clerk shall report the amendment.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 4335, offered by Mr. Schneider of Illinois. Page 1, line 8. Strike it. Strike it is the
Without
policy.
objection, further reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The representative is recognized for 5 minutes on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as my colleague, Mr. Lawler, said, the Abraham Accords were a singular achievement, the most significant achievement in a move in a very important and dangerous region towards trying to achieve greater security, prosperity, and peace for all of the people in the region. The Abraham Accords, for the first time in history, documented the idea that both Jews and Arabs belong to the same land, that they can share this land and prosper together if they work together. It opened the door to normalization with countries like the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and even Sudan. The Abraham Accords are something that holds out the promise of and possibility of security, prosperity, and peace for the entire region, which is why I'm proud to be the co-chair of the bipartisan, bicameral Abraham Accords Caucus, joining with Republicans and Democrats, House and Senate, on the very premise that we need to work to strengthen and expand the Abraham Accords to move it forward. None of the work we do exists in a vacuum. We are building on prior work. So this amendment would make reference to the Israel Relations Normalization Act of 2022 by including the policy stated in that legislation, building upon that work to advance what we're doing here. And that's why we're recommending this amendment to reference the policy of the IRNA that is already part of the work that we have done. In addition, we have a hope for peace. We are at a crossroads moment. The attack on Iran's nuclear program, setting that program back, hopefully paving the way not just to block Iran's path to a nuclear weapon, but to permanently close that path, opens the opportunity for perhaps a different path. And so the second change recommended would be achieved with this amendment would be note that if there is a time during any period in which the United States does not maintain diplomatic relations, this would be the policy. But if we can get to that new period, the policy has the possibility of changing. With that, I yield back.
Representative yields back. Let me say that I support the revised amendment. Do any other members seek recognition? Representative Lawler is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank my colleague, Mr. Schneider, for working with us on this amendment, and happy to support it in furtherance of passage of this legislation. I yield back.
Representative yields back. Do any other members seek recognition? Being no further discussion, the question now occurs on the amendment offered by Representative Schneider, number 41. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment. Okay.
We'll get to your number 42 in a second. Are there any other amendments?
I have an amendment at the desk.
Clerk shall distribute the amendment, and the clerk shall designate the amendment, shall report the amendment. Clerk shall report.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 4335, offered by Mr. Schneider of Illinois. Add at the end the following new section.
Without objection, further reading of the amendment is dispensed with. Representatives now recognized for 5 minutes on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be very brief. The idea of this amendment is recognizing that in a region that has a history that dates thousands of years, it is appropriate to review and consider positions that we take as a body here. Recognizing that a generation is at least 20 years, my suggestion is that this legislation will terminate at the end of our generation or 20 years after the date of enactment. I yield back.
Representative yields back. Do any other members seek recognition?
I seek recognition.
Representative Sherman.
I rise in support of the amendment. It's biblically inspired and wise. But I also want to comment on the bill, which surprisingly, perhaps to some, I oppose. What this bill does is it diminishes the effect of congressional involvement in deciding whether to export arms to certain countries in the Middle East. And I have 3 concerns with it. The first is I like congressional involvement. I like that involvement to be effective. And to shorten by 15 days either allows a good decision to go forward 15 days sooner, which is no big deal. It takes years to manufacture these weapons. Or it has the effect of pulling Congress effectively out of the decision-making process. The second concern I have is that this bill is based on the idea that our decision as to whether to export weapons to a country in the Middle East should be based exclusively on that country's relationship with Israel. We have other concerns in the Middle East, one of which is directly triggered by this bill. I believe the United Arab Emirates has entered into the Abrahamic Accords, so you'd say, well, they meet that standard. But there's a war in the Middle East, namely the civil war in Sudan, that has killed far more people than have died in Israel and the Palestinian territories over the last 2 years. That is the war in Sudan. The United Arab Emirates has provided substantial weapons to the Rapid Support Forces, arguably the worst of the factions involved in that civil war. So for us to take Congress out of the decision as to whether we turn to the UAE and say, you ought to stay out of Sudan's civil war, you shouldn't be arming the descendants of the Janjaweed who were responsible for the Darfur genocide. That's a decision that we in Congress should make. And of course, we have to factor in the fact that the UAE has entered into the Abrahamic Accords with Israel. So there are a number of factors. Congress ought to consider them. But the biggest reason I oppose this bill is it starts with the idea that you make the weapons transfer to a particular government, a non-democratic government in most cases, a government that does not necessarily speak for its people, and then you expect that government to continue its policies in the future. If this bill had been effective in 1978, then Congress would have not been in a position to caution against transfers of weapons to the Shah of Iran. And certainly the Shah of Iran met last century's standards for having an Abrahamic Accord agreement. Every weapon that was transferred to the Shah in 1978 was in the hands of the Ayatollah in 1980. So Congress ought to be involved in looking at when weapons are transferred to a country independent of the country's reversible diplomatic stance toward Israel that it has at a particular time with a particular government, particularly when that government could be swept away. And if a government speaks for the people of a country, then you expect that governmental decision to stick. If the government is non-democratic, then when the government is gone, the deal is gone. So I realize that everyone wants to encourage countries to enter into Abrahamic Accords, and we should do that in every way we can, in trade, in discussions, by diplomacy. But we should not short-circuit the decision of whether weapons are transferred to some very, some non-democratic regimes, and we should not take Congress out of that decision, nor should we have that decision be made solely by whether that country has entered into an accord with Israel, a accord which, as I point out, a subsequent government may reverse. So I appreciate the purpose of this bill, which is to encourage the Abrahamic Accords and other countries to join that, and I look forward to finding a way to do that that is less dangerous than transferring highly sophisticated weapon systems to non-democratic regimes without congressional input, and I yield back.
Do any other members seek recognition? Representative Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to comment on the amendment, and I thank my colleague, Mr. Schneider, for offering it, and look forward to supporting it in furtherance of passage of this bill. Thank you.
Representative yields back. Do any other members seek recognition? Seeing none. Thank you. Being no further discussion, the question now occurs on the amendment offered by Representative Schneider, number 42. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. Are there any further amendments? Seeing none. Being no further amendments, I move that the committee report H.R. 4335 as amended to the House with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a roll call vote.
You're all premature.
Sorry.
A roll call vote has been requested pursuant to the chair's previous announcement. This vote will be postponed. Thank you all for your requests for a roll call vote.
We did